All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick it off and we're going. So everybody, thank you for joining. My name is John Deneen. I'm Vice President of Marketing and Growth at Vocareum. If you're struggling with saying the name, just remember Vocareum, we care. I'm very excited today. We also have with us David Lin, our Vice President of Business Development, and our featured guest, Dr. Jessica Gilmore. She's a business development strategist for global education programs at Amazon. She is an experienced instructor and administrator, and we're very excited to have her here today to talk about AWS Academy and our partnership. And after her presentation, we'll save some time for demonstrations of the product by David, as well as save time for Q&A. The webinar will be recorded and we'll send it out after, and please feel free to ask questions as we go. With that, Jess, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Great. Well, I'm going to share my screen. So this is always the most dangerous part of the day, right? When you're sharing a screen and want to make sure that you've got the right one going. So I think I've got it. John, give me a thumbs up if you see
You're
the screen.
looking good. Yeah, no, we're good.
Great. So thanks for that intro. As John said, I'm Jess Gilmore. I work for AWS and have a background in education. I spent 25 years in higher education, teaching technology, as well as being an administrator at small rural community college, large urban universities, and at the state level. And then joined AWS a couple of years ago to really help accelerate training at scale in cloud skills. So we're going to talk today a little bit about cloud computing, AI, and then a product that we work with here in education programs called AWS Academy. And our partnership with Vocareum is really integral to the success of AWS Academy. So I'm excited to collaborate with this team, share with you our product, and then toss it over to the Vocareum team to dive into the hands-on applied learning aspect. So just to kick it off here, I wanted to level set with everybody on the AWS definition of cloud computing. So you can see on the screen here, cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. So obviously, we're all familiar that intro to cloud is the new intro to internet. When I first started teaching back in the day, I taught, Boolean search techniques and how to evaluate sources on the internet and build websites, et cetera. As we have grown in our maturity in computing, we've recognized that cloud computing now underpins everything that happens on the internet, but now is really getting into everyday work, right? It's every type of company, every industry, they're using cloud computing to back up data, handle email servers, disaster recovery, software development, big data, analytics, of course, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. All of those things are accelerating every day. So why is it important for us to learn about cloud computing? I think it's really the same message that I gave my students back in the day around intro to internet, that skilled talent, barrier to entry into the workforce is really about the skills for today's workloads, right? So when it used to be developing or creating a website, now we're talking about how to store large amounts of data, how to analyze that data at the speed that we need to make business decisions, how to transform our industry by leveraging these technologies. So interestingly enough, we understand that there are 5 million cloud jobs going unfilled globally. These cloud roles around the world are that 75% of organizations are planning to increase cloud headcount by more than 20% by 2025. So that means we need more and more skilled talent in these roles than we've ever needed in the past. So we know that half of workers' core skills will be disrupted within the next 4 years. I don't know about you, but I will never write another letter of recommendation from scratch again. I'm going to use machine learning and AI tools to pull in the candidate's resume and the job description and start with an AI-generated version of a letter of recommendation and then edit from there. That's just an everyday, job that I might do. But when we start applying that to work, and what are the things that are going to be disrupted because of AI, machine learning in our everyday work are going to be transformative to business. So let's just quickly talk about AI is about building machines that can perform tasks that a human would typically perform, right? I saw an article yesterday about how Chipotle was integrating new avocado machines so that individual humans don't have to open the avocado and scoop the avocado meat out to make their guacamole, but they're going to have a machine do that, and it could speed up what would take an hour for an employee to make a batch of guacamole to about 10 minutes of time for the machine to slice and scoop the meat of those avocados to get that guacamole made. So we know that that's really machine learning. But when you start to think about AI is about building those machines that can perform tasks that a human would typically perform. And then AI appears all over the place, right? If you remember the Tom Cruise movie where they talked about pre-crime, right? That's a fictional version of AI that we may or may not see in our society today. But these AI programs are all computer agents that are perceived in their environments, took action to achieve a specific goal. But for some of these functions, AI and their actions were not the outcome that their creators had originally envisioned. So they've innovated and started to grow and build on these things. AI problems typically span fields of research, natural language processing, reasoning, knowledge representation, learning and perception, physical environment interaction. AI isn't yet a full reality unless you're living in that simulation. But as it gets closer in each of these areas each year, you're going to see how it integrates into our everyday life. I'm going to show you in the next graphic because I think it's important to see how AI stacks, right? Artificial intelligence is the bucket that holds machine learning, right? That then holds deep learning, a subset of machine learning. And then generative AI is powered by the models called foundation models that make use of deep learning techniques such as our neural networks, et cetera. So you really want to talk about each of these things. AI is that largest bucket, getting the machines to consume the data and learn from it. Deep learning is transformative, and then that generative AI is actually generating new content and new learning from each of these layers. So what's important is really the impacts that we can see. In the medical field, AI is revolutionizing diagnostics, drug discovery, personalized patient care, right? How we're interacting with our physicians when we go to a visit might be completely different 10 years from now based on the innovation that's being generated through AI. In retail, it's transforming the customer experiences through personalized recommendations. I don't know about you, but I personally don't need any more recommendations because I'm very susceptible to getting a, hey, you might like this notification. You bought this and now you might like this other item, right? Oh, hey, this one's on sale. All of those recommendations are powered through AI. They're helping to optimize inventory management, forecasting, demand, understanding where to place retail items in order to get it out to the consumer faster is really underpinned by those transformative AI tools. In transportation, AI is driving innovation with autonomous vehicles, intelligent traffic management, optimized routing systems. I can't go anywhere without this in my pocket and Google Maps, right? I'm going to make sure that I know the route. What's the best route? Is there traffic? How am I going to organize myself and make sure I can get there? Oh, I'm walking instead of driving. All of that information is powered through AI. All of it then feeds those maps to give better routing information to the consumer, to help city planners think about how do we make traffic problems lessened by changing routes or by reorganizing light patterns in a stoplight. All of those things powered by AI and big data. Of course, the most important subject to all of us on this call is AI in higher education. I know In the last 12 months, since AI has really exploded, there's been hot debates around how education should approach the use of AI. Should we ban it from the classroom? Should we embrace it? Or is there some sort of middle median place that we should live where we're helping students learn how to leverage it, making sure that we're monitoring its usage in the classroom? But AI in higher ed is really enhancing learning experiences through things like personalized tutoring, plagiarism detection, assisting researchers in analyzing large data sets. I am sure it is assisting students in their research, right? In writing papers and trying to improve their writing techniques. I'm quite thankful that I have finished my doctoral dissertation writing before AI really took over, because I'm not sure that I wanted to delve into that space. But all that to say, every industry is being impacted by the innovation and the speed of innovation happening because of tools around AI. So, what are the benefits, right? Generative AI benefits can enhance our customer experiences. Think about all of the chatbots and virtual assistants that we interact with on a daily basis, right? They're providing better or at least faster customer experiences, streamlining that customer self-service and reducing operational costs. As I have interacted with chatbots and other AI tools more and more, I find myself reluctant to have to call a phone number where I'm going to have to interact with a human. It's much easier for me to interact with the chat services and the AI services. And knowing that it reduces the operational cost for an organization means that I might get other benefits. If they can reduce their cost in one place, they can invest in another that can benefit me as a customer in the long term. It can also help in summarizing and analyzing customer conversations and thus creating better personalized customer experiences. If we know what the customer sentiment is in the aggregate, we can improve our products more quickly. And when we reduce that expenditure on humans having to answer phones and are able to invest it in innovation in our product, we can accelerate that innovation. Obviously, AI can serve to boost employee productivity. So generative AI can help boost employee productivity by accelerating application development. We've got tools in AWS that we can talk about, like Amazon Q Developer, where developers don't have to write code from scratch anymore. We can use tools to accelerate that development of code, can automate report generation, enable us to get at the important data that we need to make business decisions faster, right? And it can improve content searches through conversational interface. I watch how some people, my mom in particular, likes to talk into her phone when she's texting rather than typing it in, right? Now she can talk right into a browser and get search information more easily, get it back in a conversational way. We've all noticed how our browser is returning an AI generated summary based on the question. So I don't have to click all of the links that I get in a browser return when I'm searching. I can look at that summary and get the answer that I was looking for, right? Those conversational searches, conversational interaction with data allows you to have the ability to accelerate innovation because folks don't have to have those deep skills on how to create a query to get the answer that they're looking for from a large data set. They can interact with that data set using natural language and get at that deep query because they understand the theory. They just don't know how to write the code to return the answers. Obviously, we can optimize processes as well. Business operations can be optimized by using that intelligent document processing that extracts and summarizes data through generative AI-powered questions and answers. And generative AI can also help improve supply chain logistics and augment data by generating synthetic data to train those machine learning models, right? How great is it that we can use a big data set and maybe create two scenarios, an A/B scenario? If we did this supply chain design, let's run that data through that supply chain design and see what our impact is, as opposed to this one over here, without having to try it in real life, right? We can try it in inside of those data models. And it enhances creativity and content creation. I know there's a lot of fear about AI generated media, but when you think about the average application. If I'm creating a PowerPoint and I need some images on the screen, right? I can either search through a whole bunch of images that PowerPoint serves up to me, or I can go ask AI to generate an image that represents an optimized process using gears and an arrow, right? And maybe I get a unique image back that, had I gone into an Illustrator product where I had to design that myself, it might have taken me a couple of hours. But being able to use AI to generate those images might allow me to create the slide that you see now much faster, right? You can use this content for blog posts, social media updates, save time on the development of the resources all across the board. Of course, sales content guidance and enablement can also be generated to match the prospect's profile and behavior, improving response rates. So if we're taking in that customer feedback through our chatbots and then creating customer documentation that solves the problems before they arise, we can improve that customer cycle and benefit them, ideally reducing the amount of times they have to interact with our chatbot. Product developers can use generative AI to generate multiple design prototypes based on inputs, constraints, which can speed up that ideation phase. So we know there's huge amounts of application for AI. What does that mean for AWS? I'm going to go through just a couple of tools that we have in AWS that support AI-driven activity. So some of those include Amazon Q. I already talked about this a little bit. It's a coding companion that integrates with your integrated development environment, speeding up your ability to do development projects by reducing the need to create code from scratch. Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service with foundation models from Amazon, leading AI startups available through an API. So this means that you can choose from various foundation models to find the model that best suits your use case, so that you can then use those models to analyze data or create generative AI applications that can deliver up-to-date answers based on proprietary knowledge. So you can either use existing foundation models, you can use existing foundation models and add your data to those, or you can create your own foundation models. Obviously, the creation of these foundation models takes a huge amount of data and time. So by using Bedrock as that fully managed service to access those foundation models, you're going to speed up your time to delivery. Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart helps quickly get started with machine learning. It can provide a set of solutions for the most common use cases that can be deployed readily in just a few steps. The solutions are fully customizable and showcase the use of AWS Cloud Formation templates and reference architecture so you can accelerate your machine learning journey. AWS Trainium is the second generation machine learning accelerator that AWS purpose-built for deep learning training of 100 billion plus parameters of models. And then Inferentia is a custom machine learning chip designed by AWS that you can use for high performance inference predictions. In order to use the chip, you set up an Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, an Amazon EC2 instance, and use the AWS Neuron SDK to invoke Inferentia or Trainium chips. These are just high-level descriptions, and I am absolutely not an expert in each of these tools. So if you're interested about just AWS tools in general, we certainly can get you connected with the right folks at your campus who can help you understand each of these tools and how to deploy them on the AWS environment natively. I wanted to expose you to some of these tools because I think it's important to understand what AWS is building on in support of AI. And then we're going to talk in just a minute about how we're leveraging some of these tools in our instructional areas inside of AWS Academy. But before we get there, I just want to deliver one more slide on how, as the leader in cloud computing, AWS is also leading the way in providing the best platform. So AWS offers flexibility. Customers need a straightforward way to find and access high-performing foundation models that are suited for their business. And AWS offers a wide selection of foundation models built by Amazon and other AI startups that we've incorporated as partners, including Anthropic, Stability AI, et cetera. Another benefit is secure customization. Because customers want to build differentiated applications using their own data, you need your data to stay completely protected, secure, and private. So using products like Amazon Bedrock, you can fine-tune models for a particular task without having to annotate large volumes of data. No customer data is used to train underlying models, and all data is encrypted and stays within your customer virtual private cloud. So you have that secure ability to use existing foundation models, but then customize them and keep them in your own secure cloud. Customers who want to use foundation models in high-performing and cost-effective infrastructure purpose, AWS offers that best in price performance for generative AI. So customers can cost-effectively scale their infrastructure to train and run foundation models containing hundreds of billions of parameters, and you can scale those up or scale those down, because in the cloud, it's that pay-as-you-go model. And then AWS offers a builder-friendly environment. Customers want to quickly integrate and deploy foundation models in their applications can do so easily within the console environment. And then finally, AWS offers customers generative AI solutions to help improve productivity while interacting with applications and systems. You can deploy these generative AI solutions quickly, you can customize them, and then deploy it right to your customer to either answer questions or analyze large sets of data, but it all is provided within the same environment. So it's a pretty exciting time. Of course, Amazon continues to innovate and develop. So as things grow, there will be additional tools and resources to use in existing foundation models, as well as new tools that we haven't even thought of yet. So with all of this exciting development in AI and machine learning, I think the question comes, how is AWS supporting educators and institutions? One of the premier products that we have available within education programs is AWS Academy. AWS Academy was designed to provide higher ed institutions a no-cost, ready-to-teach cloud computing curricula that helps prepare students to pursue industry-recognized AWS certifications and then be well prepared for all of those in-demand cloud jobs that we talked about earlier that employers are looking to fill. The great part about AWS Academy is that the curriculum is developed and maintained by AWS. As a former educator myself, I know how difficult it is to stay current with curriculum, and being able to leverage content that was designed by AWS teams and maintained by the AWS teams is a huge benefit. It doesn't remove the educator from the classroom. AWS Academy is not self-paced content. It is meant to be instructor delivered, but it helps give that instructor the time to really allow students application of materials without having to develop all of the theory materials in the background. The content is designed for post-secondary program integration. So we offer a variety of courses, which I'll show you in just a minute, but it's really enables educators to pick and choose between the courses or the applied learning applications to decide how you want to incorporate it into your courses, degrees, programs, certificates, etc. Our content is aligned to our AWS certification. I think it's important to point out that our content is aligned, but these are not exam prep courses. These are really theory and application of that theory, so students can truly understand how to use the tools in the AWS console. And then there's additional resources that we would provide or recommend for students as they're preparing to take the exams. Obviously, sitting for an AWS certification, it's a certain type of question and a certain type of environment. So we want students to be prepared for that environment, but understanding the content is really the foundation to passing those exams. And then students are employment ready when they complete these certifications and courses in combination with the degree programs and pathways that educators present. So AWS Academy is not a comprehensive degree pathway. It is not soup to nuts everything that a student needs in order to graduate from institutions, but it is the foundation of content that supports the learning around AWS services and the concepts in cloud, right? So those concepts are agnostic. The tools that are presented for use in the AWS console, the naming is specific to our environment. All right. So when we talk about these courses, what do they include? So the AWS team has built courses that have all four of these aspects. There's lecture modules where we've created PowerPoints to enable educators to deliver the lecture directly to students in a live environment, whether that's face-to-face or online. Or we've also recorded those PowerPoint presentations to enable an educator to have a flipped classroom where they request that the student watch the video that Amazon has provided and then come to class for those application and hands-on questions. So either way that you want to deliver that content. We also have guided hands-on labs. So I don't know about you, but when I'm new to learning a new concept or a tool, I'm going to need some step-by-step instructions. So we have some guided labs in a controlled environment where students can walk step by step without, veering too far off, making mistakes, and helping them apply the learning from those lecture modules. We have knowledge checks, which are multiple choice quizzes to enable students to then test their knowledge in the content areas that they're studying. And then finally, project-based exercises. This is where the power of Vocareum really comes to life. These are scenario-based exercises that AWS has written to enable educators to deploy longer-term projects and really allow students to apply what they've learned in the lecture modules and the hands-on labs in a less controlled environment. So we're giving them a scenario, asking them to create a solution, and the learners need to figure out how to create that solution within this sandbox environment. It's a really exciting way for educators to have the chance to let students loose in the environment, but in a controlled space. This does not deploy on the campus's AWS environment, so your CTO or CIO doesn't have to worry about provisioning student accounts. We provision those right inside of AWS Academy with the partnership of Vocareum. In addition to project exercises, we do have an open sandbox environment called the Learner Lab. So if educators want to create their own projects and have learners create something inside the console that we haven't predetermined, you're welcome to do that and build your own exercises as well. So just a quick overview of the types of courses we offer. The next two slides sort of align with the types of job roles that students might be seeking. So we have a course called AWS Academy Cloud Foundations. You'll notice that this is, ironically, the foundation to every pathway, right? So just as Intro to the Internet was the foundation back in the day when I first started teaching, Cloud Foundations is really the first level of coursework that we're going to want to deliver to students as they're seeking different types of job roles. They're looking to work as a solutions architect. We have our AWS Academy Cloud Architecting and two projects, the Web Application Builder and Cloud Security Builder, that we would recommend for that pathway. You can see we have machine learning content as well as data engineering. And if I move to the next slide, we also have some pathways for security, developer, operations, and even data centers. So really robust set of courses that allow students through the educators that are delivering to gain the skills that are going to help them be successful in a variety of roles once they complete. Each course will have a course description, course objectives, and a duration, as well as a deep dive into a course outline inside of the product. This is an example of AWS Academy Machine Learning Foundations, one of our courses focused on generative AI aligned curriculum. So you'll see this type of content for each of the courses that we offer. Another AI aligned content is our Academy Machine Learning for Natural Language Processing. You can see this is an associate level course and goes much deeper into the topic area than our Machine Learning Foundations course. But again, each course is made up of those lecture modules, the step-by-step guided labs, quick check quizzes, and then the applied learning projects as well. When Academy when you've become a member of Academy, not only do you get access to the Academy courses, but we also recommend all sorts of additional resources. AWS has many, many resources for educators, learners, and builders. So we're going to recommend through the courses and end of course materials, as well as our educator forum space, where you can interact with other educators who are also teaching using Academy, all sorts of resources. These are resources here that we're recommending around generative AI. So of course, we've got some exclusive events from our technical trainers to help teach educators the tools that leverage AI. We have some additional training in AWS Educate, which is free to learners 13 and up. And then AWS Skill Builder is our product that we offer for professionals who are looking to upskill their learning across cloud concepts. And this is some examples of free and premium content available in Skill Builder. For those of you who aren't currently members of AWS Academy, I recommend that you head out to the URL here in this screen. So if you search AWS Academy, you'll find that webpage, but the awsacademy.com will also take you there. And about a third of the way down, you can find a link to our institutional application. Applications happen at the institutional level, and then the program administrator for that institutional membership can nominate educators to teach with our content, and then we keep all of those educators for that one institution and one account. Once educators are nominated, they can take an educator getting started course, which takes about 20 to 30 minutes to help them understand the courses available, how to utilize the content, how to launch our labs, et cetera, how to create courses. AWS Academy is built inside of Canvas. So if you're familiar with the Canvas learning management system, you'll be familiar with how to create courses and invite students. We recommend that educators, if you're going to encourage learners to be certified, we recommend you become certified as well. And we have a self-assessment rubric to help you understand where your own learning is and what you want to acquire in order to be well prepared to teach courses. And then we invite educators to teach those courses to learners. Again, just to reiterate from the top of the presentation, AWS Academy is free to educators and free to our learners. This is an investment that AWS is making in building that pipeline of highly qualified graduates for those jobs that are available to support the cloud builders. I wanted to provide you just a quick example of TCS, who utilized AWS Academy to accelerate their programs. So they really wanted to hire some early career learners. So they partnered with a regional university to make sure that those learners had the skills that they were looking for in order to be well prepared for those jobs. So that sort of wraps up my part of the presentation. And I see John's come on the screen, which is always great. So I'm going to just pause here and then make sure that I stop sharing. And then I'll pop over the chat and see if there's questions that I can answer.
Awesome. That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Jess. That was great. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to David now to actually do some demonstrations of our cloud technology that is the foundation of AWS Academy from an infrastructure standpoint. Take it away, David. You're muted. One of us had to do it.
I apologize for that. Hi, everyone. As John mentioned, I'm David Lin with Vocareum. Before I get to the demo portion, just wanted to thank Jess and the AWS team for their partnership over the last 5 years. It's been an amazingly fulfilling journey, helping to deliver hands-on AWS labs at scale to their 2 million learners worldwide. For today's demo, I'll be discussing the AI and cloud infrastructure labs that Vocareum offers, and upon which AWS Academy labs were built upon. These are essentially, research or hands-on skills training environments, which can start as an empty sandbox or preloaded with some content and protected by policies and budget. In previous webinars, we explained how to integrate Vocareum Labs into learning management systems. What we're showing here is a Canvas environment, but it could also be integrated into a Moodle, D2L, edX, Coursera, and so on. We've also gone into details on some of the AI teaching technologies in our platform, so we're not going to get into those details, but feel free to review those past webinars on our website or ask questions in the chat. So here, I'm logged in as a student for this Vocareum demo course in a Canvas environment. I've got another window over here in the back in which I'm logged in as an administrator. Okay, so as a student, I have a set of labs that's available to me in this course. The first one is an AWS and AI sandbox, which is using the Vocareum AI notebook. It is very similar to how in AWS Academy Learner Lab is set up, but it provides the administrator and instructors with more budget and policy controls and access to alternate vendor resources as well. So these labs would be funded by your institution's own cloud and AI accounts. So there's no need to ask your end users, your learners, or your researchers to sign up for their own AWS, Azure, GCP, OpenAI cloud accounts themselves on their own credit cards or anything like that. So here we've got some instructional material. There's some budget allocation. So you'll see here we've got AWS. Let me pop this open a little bit more. And so here we've got $5 of AWS credits, and we got some timers on this lab. And so I can go and launch into an AWS account. And so you'll see that I've got this Vocalabs user. And so every learner or researcher that comes in will get their own dedicated account that has the budget controls as well as the policy controls. So an administrator can set it up such that the learners have specific access to certain resources. Additionally, we can actually preload the environment with resources as well. Okay. In this lab, we also are providing access to AI resources. Okay, and so you'll see. Let me open this up again. You'll see that we've got $30 of AI resources. Okay, and so these come with credentials that we are deploying through our AI gateway. Okay, and so along with that, we are also providing access to an assistant, which will leverage those AI resources. So, for example, if I choose, OpenAI, I can ask questions of the OpenAI. What is AWS S3, and how do I create a bucket via CLI? Okay, and so I can ask a question to the assistant, and it'll come back with answers. It could be a customized assistant, which can be built through Vocareum's app builder, which we can demonstrate later. It could be purpose-built for the course or for an exercise. Depends on what you'd like to do here. And so, taking a second longer than I expected, but should come back with an answer here on, about the AWS S3 service and how to create buckets and so on. And in this environment, I already showed you that we can go access the AWS console directly, or we can actually go and launch a terminal. And using what we learned from our query to the assistant, we can say AWS S3 LS to list the buckets. There's no buckets in here, so I can go and make a bucket, for example. It's just some random characters here. Oops. Got the S3 URL. And now I just created a bucket. Okay, and if I go and do an LS here, now we'll see that there's the bucket. And if I close this over and visit the S3 bucket, the S3 area, and I'll see that I did, in fact, just create a bucket here. Okay, and so very, very quickly, you can have access to the console through SSO. There's no need to log in. There's no need to fetch credentials. It is all automatically provisioned for you. And then also, if we'd like, we can actually go and launch the Vocareum Notebook editor here. And so, for example, we are launching the Cloud, a notebook that is leveraging the AI notebook, the AI gateway that we have, and we're actually issuing Anthropic credentials. And so when we run this, again, we can actually leverage the environment to write a haiku about the value of a hands-on lab environment. Okay, and so this is allows you to build AI apps directly inside the environment, all browser-based. There's no need to launch additional resources. If you need to tap into GPUs, we can actually deploy GPUs as well into the environment. So if you're, as Jess was mentioning, needing to learn how to leverage machine learning, or building models, or refining or training models, you can do so in this environment. If you're teaching prompt engineering or learning how to leverage AI for research, that's all possible in this environment. Okay. At this point, I'd like to switch gears to the administrator view and show you how you might configure this for your institution. Okay, and here is the Gen AI Control Center, and what we'll see here is a dashboard of the spend across my organization. I've only spent $6 in the last month or so. 813 user keys have been dispensed, and I've got a budget of $450. Okay, and I can see that here are the various courses or research groups that are leveraging this technology with a certain number of keys already been dispensed. Okay, over here I can go and set up API keys. These are my institution's API keys that I can grant budgeted and policy controlled access to. Okay, and so if I wanted to, I can go and add an API key. This could be an OpenAI credential, drop in my credentials, enter in the overall budget that spend that's allowed against this key, and then I would be able to add it. And I can adjust the budgets over time, or cancel the credentials, and so on. And then once I've registered my key, then I can actually go and generate user keys. So if I go to David Lin, and I can say, okay, I want to generate a new key for myself. Okay, and so I could say Claude or multi-key. And then I can go and select, multi-key, or I can select, Claude key, and so on. And then I can also specify, when this access is expired and what the budget is. We are adding additional features to gate the rate of use as well, and add additional features to protect, for privacy concerns, and so on. Okay, similarly, we have this AWS control center in which we can see the overall spend within the organization, and see the spend over time. We can see the number of accounts that we have dispensed or available to be dispensed, number of accounts in use, and then we can also register the payer accounts that will be used for serving the AWS environments to the learners. So, in addition to AWS and Gen AI, we support Azure, we support GCP, Databricks, many, many different environments for you to, get hands-on, train your learners, or provide access, budgeted, policy-controlled access to your researchers. And with that, I wanted to conclude the demo portion and maybe open it up for questions.